My name is Dylan. I'm the head of tech at Forward Action. So we are a digital mobilization agency and also one of the sponsors of this event. We've worked with a few various different clients and partners in this room as well. And today I'm going to be discussing how to get more conversions from your Engaging Networks pages by optimizing the pages and the templates. So at Forward Action, we aim to make data-driven decisions when we're setting digital strategies for our partners. And part of where we get this data from is by continually optimizing our outputs. So this is in order to increase conversions on our pages, on ads, on emails, or on social posts. So today I'm going to go through a bit about why we optimize pages, then specifics around the most standard optimizations that we make on Engaging Networks pages. I'll then talk about some inbuilt Engaging Networks functionality that you might be aware of but don't use or might just be missing in general. And then I'll finish up with some examples of some successful campaigns that we've run from optimized pages. So first and foremost, why should you be optimizing pages? I think it's fairly obvious that optimizing anything will make it better. It kind of goes without saying. But what I wanted to discuss is why we believe optimizing your pages can have an impact beyond on-page conversions. So over the past year, we have been researching the state of digital mobilization technology in the UK for the charity and not-for-profit sector. This has resulted in a report that we launched just a few weeks ago. And to do this, we surveyed our network, including present and past partners. We held interviews with some key figures in the digital campaigning world, one or two of which I think are here today. And this research provided us with an insight into the top 5 challenges that are being faced by organizations. To quickly summarize those, the first one is fragmented systems. This is that your systems don't integrate well with each other. I think this is a very common issue that most charities and organizations face. It's just that if you're trying to get data into one system and then match it with data somewhere else, a lot of the time that's not easy to do. You have to do a lot of manual moving of data around, and it's difficult to maintain your supporter records because of this. The second is a lack of skills and capacity. By this, we mean that digital campaigns teams are often very stretched. They often have a lot of stuff they need to do, and so they don't often have the capacity or the time to be learning new skills on top of this. Third is leadership support and strategic alignment. By this, we just mean that not having a digital strategy that is supported by leadership can often make expanding on your digital tools more difficult. And the fourth one is underutilized data analytics, not having a clear sense of what should be tracked, not being able to make strategic decisions from the data you have, and not being able to use the analytics platforms, which can often be quite confusing. Can cause a lot of issues and make it more difficult to make those strategic campaigning decisions. And accessibility and inclusivity as afterthoughts. By this we mean not making your digital products as accessible as they possibly could be. And we do realize the irony of putting that at the end of the list, but we do really believe it should be a key consideration. So while we don't have a magic wand that could solve all of these problems with a few on-page optimizations, I wanted to draw attention to how optimizing pages could relieve some of the strain that's felt by these challenges. So by optimizing your action and donation pages, you can relieve the challenge of fragmented systems by making sure that you're getting the most of your platforms, so that even if you have systems that don't talk very well to each other, you'll be learning as much as possible about your supporters while you're doing it. You'll create opportunities for your teams to learn more about the platforms they use, which means they'll increase their skills and make it easier for them to use the platforms. You will be able to use results from optimizations tests to convince leadership to invest more in digital, which is a key one and will make it a lot easier for you to campaign. You'll improve your reporting and analytics. So by this, we mean that it'll be easier to track what's going well, what's not going well, and then you can make those strategic decisions on how your campaign should be run. And finally, but crucially, you'll make your pages more accessible and therefore increase your chances to convert casual visitors to supporters. Before I move on, I have been heavily encouraged by my boss to plug our report as much as possible. So with that in mind, you can find a link to the report on the homepage of our website, forwardaction.uk. And I really should have put a QR code here like other people were doing, so I'll do that for next time. So hopefully that will convince you as to why optimizing your pages for conversions is important. And now we can move on to the how. At Forward Action, we have a set of standard optimizations that we recommend all of our partners add to their pages. To some degree, our partners might have some of these optimizations already in place, but we always encourage them to add as many as possible because obviously why not? None of it is particularly groundbreaking stuff, especially as digital campaigns improves year on year. But if anything, I hope it encourages you to get the basics right, and then you can do more exciting things with your templates and your pages in the future. So to begin, this is an example of an out-of-the-box Engaging Networks template that one of our partners was using. As part of an acquisition campaign that we were running for them, we determined it would be worthwhile updating their templates to give the campaign the best opportunity to succeed. Now, Engaging Networks is a platform many of our partners use, and so we have developed like out-of-the-box templates that can be easily applied to existing pages. And I'd also like to add here that, and considering we're at their conference, that I know Engaging Networks is in the process of releasing more extensive page templates as well. But yeah. But right now, one of the best things about the platform is being able to completely control or have complete control over the templates. So you can add as many customizations as you want to the pages. So this is the before. Oh, this was the before, and this is the after. This is an example of a template which has our best practice optimizations implemented. I think a lot of you will be very familiar with this layout. The first thing you notice is that we've split it into content into two columns. I think it was Joe from We Could Even earlier in his talk mentioned how the two-column layout is fairly standard. It's been around for a very long time. And so it's one of the first things that we do to make sure our templates have this structure. We found from optimization testing that this layout converts the most supporters. It allows you to have a strong emotive headline, image, and text on the left, and then the right-hand column is purely for your form or form-associated elements. This layout allows you to fit more content in without pushing the form too far down the page. Something that you don't see from the screenshot is also that we make sure that accessibility is taken into consideration for all of our template builds, because anything that reduces the likelihood of a supporter being able to complete an action, including a difficult-to-navigate page, will decrease conversions. So we want to make sure that our pages are usable by the largest group of people possible. We use usually a very simple browser tool called Axe DevTools, which just lets you review pages and tells you if there's accessibility issues and how to resolve them. And I'd like to add that this is like the bare minimum, I feel, when it comes to developing and accessibility. There's always more that you can be doing, and I would really encourage you to consider this as a key part of any kind of pages that you work on. A couple of other features that we aim to add by default. Signature counters, again, very tried and tested feature. This is a built-in Engaging Networks feature that we encourage partners to enable on their pages. I mean, any form of social proof has been shown to increase conversions and get more people engaged. The second is opt-in prompts. So I think fairly obviously, if a supporter is signing your form but aren't opting in, you're losing that ability to contact them about future actions. Opt-in prompts, which is the message that appears if you say no to an opt-in, and it's just the gray box on the screen here. By adding an opt-in prompt, it can increase the likelihood that the user will change their mind and click yes instead. And including a reminder that they can opt out at any times is also a key recommendation of ours here. The language used here is something that we've tested a lot on different pages. So from testing, we find that having values-aligned language in an opt-in question that can go beyond a simple, will you sign up to our email list, can make a huge difference. Being as specific as possible about what the supporter is signing up to and what they can expect will make it more likely that they will opt in. One of the key optimizations that we make to Engaging Networks pages is the ability to add a daisy chain to thank you pages. So I'll just play this. You can see by daisy chain we mean a various slides that can appear on the thank you page. They can have a number of different asks, and we will add usually as many as we can to pages. They can be share asks, they can be a follow-up action, can be following someone on Facebook or Twitter or socials. And what we found that there's no real detriment to adding as many daisy chain pages or slides as possible to an Engaging Networks template. Someone will eventually take an action, and obviously you want to put the ones that appear at the top of the daisy chain are the ones that are most likely to be taken. So you should also be strategic about where they're placed. We set these up using the advanced rows in Engaging Networks blocks. So you can easily build them within the page builder, and then we just simply add some CSS and some JavaScript that allows the scrolling between the slides. But it's a very simple thing that makes your templates push a lot further, and also is really great if you have a campaign that has a few various different actions in it. So, for example, if the original ask was a petition, the daisy chain could capitalize on their engagement and ask them to make a donation or email their MP or simply sign the petition or share the petition, because people are at their most engaged right after they've taken an action. There's also, you would have seen there's a progress bar at the bottom of the screen that gives the user a sense of place in the journey, which means that they might see an action that they consider taking further down, so they will continue on the journey. And we also add comprehensive analytics events to all our page templates as standard. What you can see here is a list of events that were fired in the video from the last slide. So you have standard conversion events like when the form is submitted and if the user has opted in, but also more detailed events like which slide in the daisy chain they scroll to. So you can see those scroll to slide events, or if they answered a survey question or which buttons they've clicked. Tracking events like this means that you get to see the behavior of your supporters beyond if they simply took the primary campaign action. So the learnings you can get from this type of tracking are really, really valuable. And it helps us a lot of the time making those strategic decisions about campaigns. And also you can do a lot of live changes to campaigns because of this knowledge. You can tell if an action is doing well in the daisy chain, maybe it should be moved up further. Maybe people are really engaged in that type of action. So you'll know for next time that can be spotlighted more. So those are some examples of how we optimize Engaging Networks pages using custom code. But there's also some built-in features that some partners don't always make the use of, but can improve conversions out of the box. A couple were already mentioned this morning, and I've just listed a few here, but they're all very much focused on increasing conversions. So for anyone not aware, Next Suggested Gift allows you to dynamically set donation amounts on your donation pages based on the supporter's highest previous donation or their most recent donation. So this is a nice little feature that encourages supporters to match or go above what they've previously donated. Secondly, what I put here is split tests. So I've mentioned multiple times, optimization testing is a core part of what we do and how we make these optimizations. Engaging Networks has this out of the box, so it's really easy just to set up a page, duplicate it, make a few changes, and then set up a split test to test which one does better. And we would encourage testing across anything, form copy, the form elements, the daisy chains, anything that you can. Upsells, which are similar to the Next Suggested Gifts in the sense that they give a quick way to increase conversions and donation amounts. And an upsell Lightbox, for example, on donation pages will encourage your supporters to switch from a one-off gift to a regular gift with a really simple click of a button. And then chaining pages is also a great feature which allows you to use the campaign link in Engaging Networks. It makes tracking of actions much more reliable, so you can tell when someone has gone from one to another using the inbuilt reporting in Engaging Networks. But what's also really helpful here is that when a supporter takes an action and you chain them to another page, their details will be pre-filled in the next action. So again, it's that very quick way that they can take an action, and it means that similar to the accessibility optimizations that I mentioned earlier, it makes just for a more efficient and easygoing supporter experience. So as I've been talking about conversions, I wanted to include a bit about some of the results that we've seen. The screenshots that I showed earlier were from a page that was part of a live acquisition campaign that we ran after optimizing a partner's Engaging Networks template. The results of this campaign compared to our original targets were incredibly successful. We achieved a cost per email opt-in that was over 30% less than was originally projected. The opt-in rate of those who signed the hand raiser was 68%, which is well above the original target of 50%. And then from the last two figures, you can see the benefit of adding tracking to daisy chain slides as well. So from these analytics events, we were able to track that over 5,000 people took the follow-up email to MP action from the daisy chain, which converted to an action rate of 35% of people who landed on the page, which is 3.5 times higher than the target for the campaign. And just to mention, the original targets for this campaign come from our forward action benchmarks that we use to project conversion rates for our campaigns. So these come from years worth of campaigns that we've run, and they're updated regularly to reflect new results. And before I end, I just wanted to speak once more about optimization tests, which I feel like I've talked about a lot, but they are very important. And this is just a quick screenshot of the spreadsheet that we use to keep track of the results of optimization tests that we run. It's a very easy way for us to keep track of the test, for our project teams to learn from older tests and to allow them to implement them on their new campaigns. It means that we can take forward best practice when working on new campaigns, and we can make very up-to-date suggestions to our partners as we work with them. As you can see, we test a variety of on-page elements, including opt-in language, slide order, form fields. It's a core part of our strategy to make sure that we are iterating on what we're offering to our partners, especially when we are building on engaging networks templates. Thank you. Any questions?
Wonderful. Hello. Thank you, Dylan. I think that's working. Cool. There's a couple of questions come through on the Hoover app. First of all, are the conversion rates that you mentioned, are they publicly available for people?
We don't have them right now, but we are working on, so we just rebuilt our website and we're working on some new case studies for the website. And I think this is that will be part of one of them. We have a few different case studies that will be coming out over the next few weeks. So yes, they will be publicly available, but not right now, I don't think.
Marvellous, thank you. Another easy one, I think. Please, can you repeat the name of the tool you mentioned for checking accessibility of pages, please?
Yeah, it's called Axe DevTools, so AXE DevTools, and it's just a browser plugin for Chrome that we use. And like I said, it's very straightforward, and I would encourage it as like the kind of the starter tool for when you're doing accessibility checks.
Great. Another one on the app. Have you seen success with a particular order for daisy chains, and what type of drop-off would you expect between actions?
It really does vary. I think usually it will depend on the campaign, I think, what you're optimizing for. So a lot of our partners will do a follow-up action like an email to MP. We'll see a lot. We'll do a hand raiser or a petition and then email to MP because it kind of gets them into that journey. A donation is also a very, like if someone's gone through and done a one-off donation on the thank you page, trying to upsell them immediately to a regular donation, we see is quite a usual journey that people have. Usually what you would do as well is start with the higher bar asks. And then as people go down further, they're more likely to take the lower ask because they've seen, oh, this might be a lot to donate more or to email an MP, but I'll share the page. So kind of start with those higher bar asks and then lower it down. I don't know off the top of my head the conversion rates as you go down. It really does vary on a campaign by campaign basis.
Cool, thank you. I suppose this one will work as a bit of a follow-up question. What are some of the best ways to integrate fundraising asks into advocacy pages?
I think it would definitely be in the thank you pages. Like you don't want to be adding a fundraising ask to a advocacy ask at the very start. We have what we kind of see a lot of the time is, you can add it to the daisy chain slides. Embedding different fundraising asks can be really useful. I guess with Engaging Networks, you have the benefit of it all being linked together, so you can just like directly bring someone on and just, if you ask them a question of like, do you want to donate more? And they'll click yes, and they'll bring them onto it. What we also say is like including the amount of donation, the donation amount in the ask. So you could have a slide that says, do you want to make a regular donation? And then have 5 buttons that like, make a £5 regular donation, make a £10 regular donation. So giving them those options immediately. And then when you link to the donation page, it will have automatically selected that donation amount. a lot of the time that means you can actually skip the first page of the donation form completely and bring them to just the details page, which again, if you're chaining your pages, means the details will be pre-filled. So all they really have to do is just pay. So it's like that kind of thing of making sure it's all linked up properly.
Great, thank you. Another one here. In terms of petition pages, do you find having the submission form on the right-hand side performs better than having the submission form at the end of the page? If so, is the difference significant?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know off the top of my head the exact rates of how it makes a difference, but I do know that anytime we test it, it always says that it better performs on the right-hand side. I think at this point, people are very used to seeing that layout for one, so it's familiar to people. Also, having anything at the bottom of the page means that you could have to scroll to get to it, which again reduces conversions a lot of the time. But I would say that it's that kind of thing of like, also you see all the content all at once, so you have all the left-hand content and the right-hand form at one side. But I don't know off the top of my head the difference. What I will say though is that even if it's like a slight 1% increase in conversions, that can still make a huge difference, especially depending on your audience. So I would say regardless of like how big the difference is, it's still worth doing it if it's having some kind of effect on your conversions.
Great, thank you. So some charities may say they don't have enough time to run split tests. How much time would you say it would take to run split tests, and is it worth the effort?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned optimization tests and stuff about 10 times during that presentation. It's not that, it doesn't take that long. I think, once you decide what you want to test, and then you, like I said, say using the engaging network split tester as an example, that is just really just create a page, have it all set up, and then duplicate it. You only really want to change one thing when you're doing a split test. So that's just like a very quick change, and then you just set it live. It will automatically split the traffic. It will tell you what the results are, and then you just choose a winner and you set the traffic to that. So it's not a very heavy lift, and we would encourage you kind of just doing this continuously. It's not a case of just doing it once and then saying, oh, we got the learnings from that, we'll move on. Like, just constantly be testing different things. It's not gonna, if you do find that a test is actually having a detriment effect on the campaign, you can just stop the test and just go with the one that's winning and try it again. It's not going to, completely put the campaign off. So yeah, I would say it's definitely worth it. It gives you just a better insight into how people are using your campaign pages, which I think is really important when you're making those strategic kind of campaign decisions.
Excellent, thank you, Dylan. I think we've got time for just one more question. So some charities remove the paginated feel from actions by making it feel as though you're staying on one page rather than progressing through different pages. Have you tested this?
I'm not sure exactly I understand that one. Is it?
I think they're saying, obviously you can go from page 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
etc., can't you? Whereas some clients have their pages created over one page.
Yeah.
It would be my understanding. It was a question from Tori. I don't know if you want to elaborate, Tori.
Yeah. So it was exactly as you said that, at that, the difference between having each action on a separate page and whereas making it seem as if it's all on one page and it just kind of replaces the content or slides, something that's right. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of reasons why that is a better approach, is to have it more of like feel like it's all on the one page, or like the daisy chain example that we gave where it's all on one page and you just slide from action to action. Because of loading speeds. I mean, bringing someone to a new page every single time means they have to reload the page every time. If they're on mobile, if they're, have a slow data connection, it's better to have everything set up already so that on one page. So I do think it does increase it. I don't know if it makes like a cognitive difference, like if they can recognize that, oh, this feels all like it's one page. I'm not sure if we've tested that as significantly, but I would definitely say that just in terms of performance, having it on one separate page makes a big difference.
Got one final question for you, Dylan. Thank you very much for taking all of these. I'm a bit of a coward with signature count widgets in case the numbers stay low. Is this a legitimate fear, or do you think a low count on a widget Or do you think a low count on a widget would deter people?
I mean, not particularly, because they don't know when the campaign was set live, right? So they won't know how long it's been going for. You'll know that, and maybe you'll feel like a campaign isn't performing properly. But if anything, I feel like it could encourage them to sign up more because they want the campaign to do well if they're a supporter of yours. Also, on Engaging Networks with the widget counters, you can link them to multiple pages. So if you have a campaign that has different pages, you can make sure the signature counter is tracking across all of them. So you could say that, like, the counter is, it shows how much people support this action or this campaign, but that might mean it's only people who've signed that page. So you can kind of like inflate the numbers, like legitimately inflate them, but it'll give the impression that that page is doing better as well.
Cool. Well, I think that's all we've got time for. So Dylan, thank you very much.
Thank you.